Hello again, everybody. It's Todd Staruch, the Horror Nerd, here at PA HorrorCon in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I am having a blast. It's the first day of the con. I'm meeting so many amazing people. Speaking of amazing people, I have the opportunity to spend a few minutes with the lovely and talented Diane Salinger. Diane, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and it's so wonderful to be here because I grew up in Philadelphia, so I have a soft spot in my heart for this convention.
Awesome. And now, you know, we've met a couple of times, and now I'm
Yes.
glad I have a chance to spend a few minutes
Yes.
with you. So my first question always is, does it ever surprise you that the fans do come out in such numbers to talk about
Yes,
movies that have been out for a long time?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is my favorite movie I've ever done. But Batman Returns, and there's so many, Deep Space Nine, Power Rangers. But I have to say, Todd, that Pee-wee's Big Adventure is my favorite. And when someone says Simone on the street, I'm so shocked because it's the 40th anniversary this year for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I'm so touched that they still recognize me.
Right.
Yeah.
Fans will remember even little details, you know?
They do indeed, yes.
So,
yes.
Speaking of Pee-wee, I was talking to my daughter because she's getting caught up on all the movies that I grew up with,
that's
right?
great.
Like from the 80s and
Yeah.
90s and stuff. And she's like, Dad, Pee-wee was a gangster. Like, someone took his bike, he went to the guy's house and tried to drown him, you know? It's like, Pee-wee's a gangster. And I'm like, you know? I never thought about that.
There are many aspects to Pee-wee, as there are many aspects of Paul Rubens.
Exactly. So, Diane, you know that I have such an affection for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and is there like a favorite moment or story from making the film that you would like to share with us?
Okay. My favorite memory is when I came to the set, and this is amazing. And that is one day I went to the set. Those were the days when you could go to the set when you weren't even working that day. And I went to the set, and they were shooting the convict scene with Pee-wee and the convict falling from the sky in the convertible. And they were screaming, and then Paul hugged him, and then the convict pushed him away, and they're falling, and then the top of the convertible opens up, and it acts as a parachute, and I watched them shoot it so many times, and I was so gobsmacked. And then I went up to Paul, Pee-wee, and Tim when they took a break, and I said, you don't know this about me, but I'm very, very psychic and intuitive. And I'm telling you, this movie is going to be bigger and huger than any of us have any idea. And it is so strange. Paul and Tim just smiled and nodded. They didn't believe it. And to this day, I mean, it doesn't ever quit. And it's the 40th anniversary, and the fans... And me too. I love this movie more than any other I've ever done.
That's great.
Yeah,
you know,
that's my favorite story. And my favorite scene, of course, is the dinosaur with Paul. And the energy, the chemistry between us is so amazing. And I'm going to actually be doing my own events, Todd, about following your dreams. Based on that dinosaur scene with Paul, following your dreams. And I can't wait to do this. So all the people watching this, I would love you to follow me on Instagram or Facebook and follow your dreams and come to my events.
I was today years old when I learned about that. I would absolutely attend that.
Great.
So speaking of Paul, I met him one time at a convention where he was appearing, and you know how it is at cons. You might have a few seconds with somebody, but it really did come across that he seemed to genuinely have sort of like that childlike personality. I mean, now for all I know, that could have been convention Paul, but what was he like?
Well, he was incredibly sweet and generous And it was my first day shooting, and I had done, I think, one other movie besides this. And I come from Shakespeare, and so I really didn't know how to anything about camera. And Paul said to me, I will, when you come up and hug me at the bus stop, when Paul tells me about the Alamo not having a basement, and I'm off to Paris. And Paul he said, I'm going to let you, when we kiss, come in, that my face would be facing the camera and not his. And I thought that was incredibly generous. I didn't even know, because I came from theater, and he said, no, Diane, I'm going to give you the focus. He's beyond sweet. And he had this very childlike quality. He really did. But if you see the documentary, you'll see other sides to Paul. Yeah.
Listen, I don't think any of us is strictly one-dimensional,
No.
So that doesn't surprise me that you say that,
No,
you know what I mean?
we're not. No.
So I saw your photo here from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And no lie, I am right now rewatching Deep Space Nine because I haven't watched it in a while.
Yes.
And it seems to me that almost every interview I do at a convention, the person was in Star Trek somehow. How did you come to be in Star Trek? Was it just an audition like any other?
It was an audition, and I just did the Star Trek convention in Vegas for 5 days. It was a lot of fun. And I went into audition, and I was very intimidated, Todd, because there was this actress whom I had seen at ACT. I think her name's Megan Cole, and I was in such awe of her. And I was in ACT like the next year, and I was so gobsmacked by her acting, and I thought, oh my God, I don't have a shot at this, because we're auditioning for the same role, and she was older and more experienced, and I thought, oh my God, she's brilliant. So I went into the bathroom, and I was so nervous, and I had a water bottle, and I thought, the only way I'm going to get this is if I play drunk. And the character was a freedom fighter, and I decided to make her very, very feisty. And so I do this sense memory exercise for all you actors out there that comes from Uta Hagen, one of my teachers. And she said, what you do is you find out where you get drunk in your body, you give into the sensation, and I get it in my elbows, and then you try to overcome it, and all of a sudden you're just drunk. It's wonderful. So I went in with the water bottle, and played her really drunk, and I got the part.
That is great. That is a great story. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. So just before we went on camera, I asked you about Carnivale.
Yes.
Right? And when I first met you, you did the pose of your character.
Yes.
And that gave me nightmares forever, so thank you for that. But that was a great show. I loved it. And when it only lasted 2 seasons, I was very disappointed. I wanted to see where it would go.
Yes. Yes.
But how did you, as an actress, how do you maintain,
Well, okay.
I'm not articulating it great, I understand.
No, Todd, I understand.
But that pose where you're kind of paralyzed, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, here, hold Peewee.
I will.
Okay, this is the pose from Carnivale.
Now you know why I had nightmares.
It's very, very different than how I am in real life. And I love doing research on every role I play. For instance, for Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I went to restaurants and looked at waitresses, and there was an old waitress who was a professional waitress outside of San Francisco at the Cliff House, and she had a little red fake rib flower in her hair, and I just thought, okay, so I talked to Aggie and got a flower put in my hair for Pee-wee. For Carnivale, I did much more research, and I went to 2 mental institutions, getting into them because a student of mine's brother was a psychiatrist at both of these places. And then the first place I went to do research, because this is a very special catatonic state, it was all full of schizophrenics, and I was in the yard with them, and I got mistaken for one of the inmates. And they said, "What building do you belong in?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm just a visiting psychiatrist." Which is what my friend's brother told me to say, is that I was a visiting psychiatrist. But I didn't see anyone that was really catatonic. So he takes me himself to another, like a old folks facility, but it had dementia, people with dementia in it. And there was this one woman in the cafeteria who was in this pose I just did, and she didn't talk, and her eyes were open, and she had the hands like this, and I knelt down beside her, and I touched her leg, and she all of a sudden got very agitated, and sort of, she didn't want to be in this dimension. She was in a totally different dimension. And then that's how, and then I brought my students, and they all performed for the whole house. You know, and my gratitude that I got the character by doing this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is
so
very
that's a long story, but that's it.
No. As a fan, I love hearing like stuff like that, like
good.
behind the scenes
Yes.
and stuff. What would have been funny is if you had said, no, I'm an actress. They would have been like, yeah, okay, let's go. Yeah, whatever. And I'm Napoleon. Let's get you to bed. Like, all right.
Well, in that first place, they were talking to the trees. There was a huge brick wall around the whole, yard of this mental institution, and some would like right up against the brick wall, talking to the wall. And I thought, this is fascinating, but I need somebody who doesn't talk for this role.
Right.
So I found that woman, and truly, she was in another dimension and did not want to be here.
I feel that way sometimes.
I do too.
Right?
I think we all do.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we love watching movies and television and going to theater. It's to escape.
Sure, 100%.
Any way you can.
So, Diane, I have one last question
Yes.
for you, and I have heard so many different answers to this, and I always love it. If you could give one piece of advice to a young up-and-coming actor or actress that wants to get into the business, what piece of advice would you give them?
Don't do it unless.
Okay.
Wait, let me add this caveat. Don't do it unless there's absolutely nothing else that you want to do, and then go 200%. If you only put your toe in, you're never going to really do it. You have to dive in and give 200% and follow. I'm going to be doing, as I said, these events about following your dreams. Follow your dreams. And Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist, said, follow your dreams and the environment will support you. If you truly follow what you love, you will do well. You will succeed. But it has to come from the heart. And we're going to get into much more of this in my events.
I love it.
Thank you, Tom.
Diane, thank you so much for a few minutes of your time.
It's my pleasure.
The pleasure was mine. We met a few times, and I'm so glad I got to spend these
honey,
few minutes
so precious.
asking some questions to you. It was great. I always say I am just a fan who gets to do some cool stuff. And this is it right here, folks. So, Diane, I wish you much success in your conventions and your appearances and anything you might do in the future.
Well, I'm also writing a mini-series about Joan of Arc.
Ah.
Yes.
Cool.
Don't talk about that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you can put it on, but yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Diane Salinger, everybody here at Pennsylvania Horror Con in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I am the horror nerd, Todd Staruch, signing off. We will see all of you in the next interview.
Au revoir. Au revoir.